Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Off Grid Style. This is the Global Intelligence Briefing, and I'm a little late with this. It does come at about 5 o'clock in the morning, but nobody wants me to be on voice, camera, anything at 5 o'clock in the morning before I've had any coffee. So I'm starting with it now, a little later, but still very pertinent. China warns us to brace for a response. China is warning the U.S. to brace for a strong and decisive response following the approval of a $75 million weapons sale to Taiwan. According to China, the sale breaches past agreements recognizing Beijing as the sole sovereign state representing China. The U.S. Congress gave the green light for the sale, which includes a Link 16 data system and other logistical support, marking the first such approval since the recent elections in Taiwan. China views the sale as a violation of the One China principle and the three China-U.S. joint communications, especially the August 17th communication of 1982. Beijing vows to defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity vigorously, indicating strong opposition to U.S. arms sales in Taiwan. U.S. law mandates providing Taiwan with military hardware and technology to deter potential invasion, despite objections from Beijing. Taiwan is also part of a $95 billion aid package, because we can afford that, which includes $1.9 billion to replenish U.S. weapons and $3.3 billion for submarine construction. So we're sending weapons to Taiwan, and China's planning on taking them over. So they'll have our weapons. Okay. Call me crazy. All right. China opposes any official interaction between the U.S. and Taiwan authorities, including a recent visit by a delegation of U.S. Congress members to Taiwan. The House Select Committee, formed in 2023, is particularly criticized by China for its strong stance against the Chinese government. U.S. representatives visiting Taiwan expressed bipartisan support for strengthening the partnership, suggesting ways to expedite military weapon deliveries. So before I forget, I mentioned that this comes early in the morning. I get my on-scene briefing 3 times a week. It gives me all kinds of stuff from across the whole world and allows me to see signs and connections and those types of things, which I love. But what I love even more is the fact that I get actual notifications to my phone whenever there is a critical incident alert. So, for instance, when this AT&T outage happened to supposedly 70,000 people only, I knew about it much sooner than anybody was talking about it on the news. The guy who owns it is American. He's a great guy, and he is also in emergency management. You can very much trust his sources because I verified that first. So what I did was I negotiated a deal for everybody. I said, look, I'll talk about your information because I love it, but give me a discount for my members or my subscribers. And so he did. So you can try it out for 30 days. If you like it, great. Go ahead and sign up. It's with my discount of 30%. It's less than like a Big Mac. And that's for a month. If you don't like it, then you tried it, and that's all there is to it. Link is in the description. The World Health Organization chiefs dire warning. Oh, yay. WHO Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus warns that it is not a matter of if, but when disease X, a new pathogen and pandemic will hit the world. Tedros emphasizes the urgency for global leaders to recognize the imminent threat and the need for a treaty to prepare for future pandemics. I don't know if any of you have looked on the WHO's website about this treaty. You need to. It is on their website. Go ahead and read it and draw your own conclusions. I'm not going to sit here and go on for 20 minutes, which I could, about it, but you definitely need to be aware of it and aware of what they're asking for as far as their control over anything pandemic related. Okay, back to the story. Despite progress in areas like surveillance and vaccine production, Tedros believes the world remains unprepared. Disease X, a hypothetical virus, could be even deadlier than COVID-19 and has been on the WHO's radar for years. Russell Brand and a few other people discussed this when they had the big meeting of the Davos and all that stuff. But this just came out, his dire warning. The clock is ticking for nations to agree on an international pandemic preparedness treaty, with just 15 weeks left on the timeline agreed upon in 2021. The treaty aims for global cooperation in research, development, and access to vaccines, emphasizing a One Health approach. Tedros dispels misinformation surrounding the treaty, denying claims of power grabs or sovereignty ceding to the WHO. Read it for yourself. Critics, including groups like Advancing American Freedom, oppose the treaty, fearing it would diminish national sovereignty. Tedros urges people to read the draft agreement on the WHO website. Please do. Read the verbiage. Read what it says. He clarifies that the WHO did not enforce lockdowns, mask mandates, or vaccine mandates during the COVID-19 pandemic because they didn't have the power to then. But that was my own addition. He emphasizes the organization's limited power. The WHO has faced criticism for its slow response in investigating the origins of the COVID-19 outbreak, with doubts raised about the possibility of a lab leak in that place over there, because I'm not going to say it. I live in such a great state. I'm lucky to live where I live. I didn't mean to get the great people that I have representing me and running my state, but gosh darn it, I'm thrilled to death. So Marco Rubio, senator from Florida, warns a Chinese cyber attack will be 100 times worse than the AT&T outage. You know, that little one that only 70,000 people were affected by, but everybody I talked to had issues. GOP senator issued a warning on social media regarding the recent AT&T outage, suggesting it's minor compared to a potential cyber attack from China. Rubio emphasized the severity of a potential Chinese cyber attack, predicting it would affect not only cell service, but also power, water, and banking systems. Well, those are the things you should be prepping for. Correct? Correct. The AT&T outage affected tens of thousands of customers with disruptions in home, phone, internet, and mobile service. The majority of affected users experienced issues with mobile phone service, with a significant portion reporting complete signal loss or loss of mobile internet. AT&T acknowledged the disruptions and urged affected customers to use Wi-Fi calling until services were restored. Over 74,000, yes, well over 74,000 AT&T users reported outages by 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, whatever day that was, Thursday, I think it was. FBI Director Christopher Wray previously warned about the escalating nature of China's cyber attacks against the U.S. and its allies, describing them as reaching a fever pitch. Wray highlighted the infiltration of Chinese hackers into critical infrastructure like power stations and phone companies, suggesting they could be activated if deemed necessary by the Chinese government. And then there's all those immigrants coming across the border, but hey, we don't need to worry about them. China-sponsored hackers had been identified as early as 2011, but the threat has intensified in recent years, with offensive weapons being built into critical infrastructure for potential attacks. There you have it. Those are the three top stories from the global incident briefing for today from On Scene Alert. Please don't forget, tonight is a live stream, 7 p.m. We have a blast. There are shenanigans, just so you know. Shenanigans are an important part of it. So please join me for that.